pull up all of these tariffs, going on. I think Trump, personally, in my opinion, is doing a horrible job at being the president. All of these damn tariffs, these damn executive orders he's, putting together and signing. He just signing things, with reckless abandonment, not giving a hell where the chips fall and land, because in all actuality, it's us, the regular tax-paying citizens of the U.S. that get up every morning and go to work that's going to be, hit with these prices of these tariffs and things like that that's going on negatively. So, yeah, let me pull this up, family. I think this is the one. Is this the one? Hold on, family. I'm just checking to make sure this is the video I wanted to show.
Tariffs sending markets tumbling for a second day in a row. This comes after China announced new retaliatory tariffs taking effect next week. The Dow...
I don't think that's the one, family. I be watching so many videos trying to find stories, and when I need to get the story that I want, there's so many of them. And I don't know where I'll be putting them at sometimes. Yeah, I don't know, family. We'll just rock with this one. But basically, Trump is signing all these damn executive orders, these tariffs.
Another brutal day on Wall Street with...
Basically, with the tariffs, I understand, to a certain degree why they trying to do it, because they trying to, deter people from taking their business, Americans even from taking their business to China and all these other countries where they can operate for less and, bring these manufacturing jobs and, these businesses and institutions back to America, which will, in turn make more jobs over here in America, because we got to be able to, stop buying out from all these other countries and be able to, produce our own, because this is how you stay in power, producing your own. The power don't come from you just buying from people. The power comes from you being able to, make your own and manufacture your own. So in that regard, I kind of get it, but the way Trump is going about it, I just don't think it's the right way, imposing all these damn tariffs. And you got these other countries who are mad. Now they want to do retaliatory tariffs on the U.S. China is one that's saying that they're going to do that, so it gotta be, I don't like the way it's going about, people losing their jobs, stuff is buku high in the economy right now, and I think we really in a recession right now. They ain't saying it, but they say we headed for one, but I think we already in one. You see the prices of everything in the grocery store, rent going through the roof. I know personally they keep raising my rent, the landlord. So, it's just crazy, in this economy right now, this economic climate and these tariffs, because, and them charging all these other countries, what they ain't saying is that, we as the consumer, them prices fall back on us, so we paying more, so it's just a lot of nonsense, and, Trump is doing, a lousy job as a president, if you ask me. This is why I ain't for neither party, truth be told, because I call them politicians, because the one thing you can count on a politician for anybody in that government is telling a lie, because that's all of them do on the right and the left, so I ain't in favor of either of them, but Trump is, just doing a bunch of nonsense, and the economy's hurting, and him charging up all these tariffs. It's us that, get up every morning and go to work that's hit with the impact of this, because he for sure as hell ain't worried about it. I see, the financial aspects of America is in shambles, and he riding around on a golf cart playing golf. But let's continue, family. Fair use.
Sending markets tumbling for a second day in a row. This comes after China announced new retaliatory tariffs taking effect next week. The Dow dropped about 5.5% today, the worst decline since June of 2020. The S&P 500 had its worst day since March of 2020, and the Nasdaq, home to many tech companies, closed the day down more than 20% from its December record high. So what does this mean moving forward? Joe McCoy did his best to find out. He has our top story tonight. Joe?
Still lots of questions, Julie. We do know so far that a couple of reasons Trump is enacting these tariffs is to force businesses to bring manufacturing and production back to America. He also hopes to get other countries to reduce their tariffs on U.S. goods. But
that's what I was saying. I get it, trying to get business over here in America where we can employ more Americans and actually produce things ourselves instead of outsourcing them. But I just don't think this is the right way because people are being hurt by this, jobs is being lost, and they say, the predominant people that's going to be struck and hurt by these tariffs is, people who are, on the lower level economics, that are already hurting and, suffering economically, the tax-paying citizens, those people that got.
In the stock market this week, many people are uncertain about the direction the economy is headed. An uncertain and frantic week on Wall Street has come to an end as President Trump's reciprocal tariff announcement sent the stock market plummeting. The Dow Jones closing its worst week since 2020, the S&P 500 down 10% in just 2 days, and the Nasdaq down nearly 12% in the same time frame. So is this just a blip in the road and the market correcting itself, or are we headed for a recession? That depends on who you ask. The hope
I think we're already in a recession, truth be told, and they're just not specifying it as to not create panic and fear.
Would be that the announcements were sort of the worst case scenario, and that trade barriers only lessen from there as there are negotiations.
David Royal, Chief Financial and Investment Officer at Minnesota-based Thrivent Financial, is more on the optimistic side that markets will rebound, but acknowledges retaliation from countries could lead to a prolonged trade war. Today, China placed a 34% reciprocal tariff on all U.S. goods imported into China. This could hurt American farmers, especially.
See, now, other countries is going to get, tit for tat, and I can't say I blame them, but, who's going to be hit by this? You got to ask yourself, and it's going to be us, the tax-paying citizens that get up every morning and got to go to work and are already, struggling to have to put food on the table and keep the lights on them. They for sure as hell, the upper echelon ain't going to be hurt by this. This is normal business for them. They're going to continue with protocol as normal. I done told y'all Donald Trump, was out there, on the golf course riding around. He ain't worried about this, because it don't affect him. The rich going to continue to do what they do.
Here in Minnesota, because China is one of the top consumers of U.S. soybeans. Secretary of State Marco Rubio saying this morning that the global order of trade needs a reset.
We can't continue to be a country that doesn't make things. We have to be able to make things to provide jobs for Americans.
J.P. Morgan analysts now predict the U.S. and broader world economy both have a 60% chance of sinking into a recession this year. On Friday, Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell sent a warning about the cost of goods rising.
While tariffs are highly likely to generate at least a temporary rise in inflation, it's also
and what they should be doing, the right thing to do is, since they know everything is rising, these jobs should be, raising their pay up for the, their workers, but they ain't going to do that. The pay is still the same, yet the economy is rising left and right. Where the hell they do that at? But let's continue.
possible that the effects could be more persistent.
There is some encouraging economic news tonight. The U.S. added 228,000 jobs in March, more than economists anticipated. Julie?
Yeah, but I seen something, family, where though they said the people that's going to be hit by this, these tariffs the most and, feel the brunt of, what's going on and, with rise in pay, it's going to be, the people that are already, economically, suffering, the people that are, on the lower totem pole, the working class people, not even the middle class, because when they talk about the middle class, that's not even most of us. The middle class, I think I looked it up, you got to be making somewhere in the bracket of 100,000 to be considered middle class, and, the most people, they not making that a year, so in all actuality, we're lower than middle class. So it's going to be us that got to get up every morning and punch the time clock, lower income people who are actually going to be hurt by this nonsense. Umber Beef, if he doesn't fix the market soon, they'll get out of office. People don't like when you mess with the money. Because I don't know. He's saying that he's trying to bring, business back to where though we can manufacture stuff here in America. But if you ask me, I don't know if this is the right way of doing it, because you taxing all of these countries with tariffs. They going to do retaliatory things, and we're being hit. You know, the regular consumer, the people that's already low, you know, low economically wise, you know, we're going to be hit by this. You know, they put the prices on us, you know, when these tariffs come, because somebody got to bear the brunt of it, and it's us, the regular, you know, consumer that go to the store and, you know, consume these goods and are just, you know, punching that time clock day in and day out. So I want to show y'all some of the things. You know, they say like $25 for olive oil at the store, family. I wanted to show y'all this. It's unbelievable. I almost couldn't believe it. Olive oil always been expensive, but damn near $25 for olive oil? These people out of their mind. They've been smoking something. Let me find that video. $25 for olive oil, they say. Here we go.
What's better than a limited?
Let that commercial play. Subscribe to my channel. I'm always putting out new content. Hold on. Umber Beast. He's making drastic changes to quickly because he only has 4 years. Yeah, he's just doing things. He's doing it with reckless abandonment, if you ask me, Umber Beast. You know, he just flicking that pen with, you know, blatant disregard as to where the chips got to fall. The chips got to fall somewhere, you know, after it's all said and done. You know, and here's what's going on with these, you know, tariffs on the groceries. Damn near $25 for some olive oil. I don't know where this is at, but they saying $25 for some olive oil. Fair use.
Will be affected as well. Matt Gutman is at a grocery store in Los Angeles. And Matt, tell us what you're seeing.
Hey, good morning, Michael. I mean, when it comes to groceries, economists project that if consumers are made to absorb the entirety of the 20% import tariffs on Europe, things like this, olive oil from Italy, $20 now, it'll be up to $24, and something else.
Did you hear that? Up to $20 now. They said it will be up to $24. So they still expecting, you know, things to be increasing. Insane.
Folks are really not going to like. Alcohol could also rise by that 20% as well, but not just imported alcohol from Europe, but also domestically produced alcohol because of the tariffs on aluminum and on glass. Something else, seafood. The USDA says about 80% of seafood consumption in the U.S. comes from high tariff countries. India, Indonesia, China, Canada, Vietnam. So that could rise. But there are a couple of bright spots. The folks here at the Sabzi market say that meat, poultry, eggs, dairy, they're likely not going to change much. Also, take a look at this produce display here. And despite the tariffs on Mexico and Canada, the folks here at markets like this don't expect produce to rise much more than a couple of percent. Another bright spot, inventory. Managers of stores like this say that their vendors say they have plenty of inventory that will likely last for months, and consumers won't start to feel the pinch for several months down the road. But economists say the folks that will start to feel the pinch the soonest are low-income families, Robin.
Oh, y'all families, you hear what they said? The people that's going to feel this, you know, hit the most is low-income families, you know, because, you know, we're already feeling it now, truth be told. Everything is so high, rent, gas, the food prices, you know, bills, you name it. The economy just too damn